Okay, I think I'm here. Good morning, Sherry. I hope you're doing well. I hope you had a great weekend too. I had a lovely weekend being out in nature and taking time to walk, and it was a nice reprieve from the heat we've had. Unfortunately, it's going to come back, but it's been nice just to enjoy the cooler weather and the sunshine, and there's nothing like being out in nature. At least I think so. There's nothing like it. It's wonderful. So today we're going to do part 2 of emotional IQ. We have to understand how important understanding even our own emotions are, because we can be very, very sensitive and overreact. Hey, Trace, good to see you. I'm so glad you're here. Such a wonderful person. Lives in England. She's awesome. Here goes my internet again. So sorry about that. You know, if you think of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, our emotions play an important role in this, right? Because first of all, the physical needs. We need basic shelter, food, clothing, air, right? That's so important. And then safety. We need to be safe in our environment. That's important. Love and belonging. And this is where emotions play a part, doesn't it? When we love somebody, we love our family, we love our friends, and we even like them or whatever, and we get along, we have fun. It helps us be connected. When we're honest with ourselves and honest with our own emotions, and others are honest, it helps them to be connected with themselves and others. Now, sometimes I have my notes here, so I really wanted to make sure I've got them. Our paradigm, if you remember from the second video I did about our paradigms, which is a collection of ideas and thoughts from other people put inside us when we're very young. And so we make perceptions about what life is, who I am, who others are. There's concepts there that might not be very good for us because they were put there by other people. But as children, it's like, what do I know? So, okay, I'll believe what they believe, right? And that's how, unhealthy belief systems begin. Also, good ones, fun traditions, celebrations, and we have happy memories. And we have good feelings about those things as well. So that also can be wrapped up in our paradigm. Our emotions are telling us a story about ourselves, and they can really help us. So I want to first talk about what scientists believe, that emotions are triggered by how we evaluate events. What are the meanings we put to events? And again, that goes back to our original paradigm, right? So let's put it this way. Let me give you an example. Let's say you have 2 children. One child was attacked by a dog when they were young, okay? So automatically there's a fear that every dog is horrible. That goes right into their paradigm, their belief system. So as they grow and they're young adults and they're out walking, the one that wasn't attacked by a dog may love animals and dogs. Every dog is friendly. They have a great rapport with animals and dogs. They don't mind if a dog comes up and sniffs them, and they, pat them, and they have it's a good emotional response to that dog. Whereas the other person has that fear that was placed in them because they were attacked by a dog. So even though in their head, they're like, okay, I'm an adult now. It's all right. Dogs are, not all dogs are bad, but still there's that, when a dog might come up to them to sniff them or whatever, they're going to have that reaction like the other person didn't. So the emotion is attached to our paradigm, because that's in the mind and our emotions come from the mind. Now, emotions are pretty amazing. They are telling us a story about ourselves, and they can really help guide us um, to a better way of thinking and a better way of perceiving. And what I mean by that is sometimes if we're overly sensitive, let's say we're very sensitive and we were hurt a lot as children, and so we grow up and we have this belief system, again, part of our paradigm, that I'm just not good enough. Or if somebody says anything, the least bit, even in a kidding way, that might be perceived as criticism, we want to crumble, right? We just feel awful. And that emotion will trigger all kinds of oh, I'm such an idiot, or I can't believe I did that or said that, or oh man, nobody likes me. And, it can trigger those feelings. So emotions come first, and the feelings follow right after. And if you think about it, I don't know about you, but even a commercial can make me cry. If it's really tender and special, it could be a mother and a newborn, or it could be someone who's empathizing with someone else in a beautiful way and taking time to listen. And that just feel, we suddenly can relate to that feeling, that emotion of oh, how special that is, and bring a tear to your eye. You're not even sure why, but it's just something very special because you have a meaning to that event. So like when I see even a picture of a mother with a newborn, or watch a program, I get so teary-eyed because it goes right to the moments I remember each one of my children's births and holding them for the first time. I have 4 children, and it's something you just don't forget. It's something that is so amazing. And I guess for me, that event of seeing something like that causes me to just, oh, that's beautiful. Or if we watch a sunset, a beautiful sunset, and we're just so moved by it and touched by it. Now, on these better occasions, on these moments where the events are meaningful and beautiful and touch us, I feel like it's also part of a spiritual moment, right? I feel like it's a spiritual moment as well. I do anyway. That's how I perceive it. Now, if we go back to the difficult moments in life, the painful ones, the ones that trigger in us all the wrong things that we don't want to remember or feel. But emotions can do that. When I say they're telling, and they tell a story about ourselves, if we, or let's say someone else, maybe in a gathering, responds or reacts in a way that is out of place a little bit, maybe overreacting, or maybe inappropriate joking of something that might be serious, but that was their coping mechanism in that person. They had to be funny. They had to make fun of something in order to cope with their situation in life. So it's the child in us that comes out at those moments. Remember, that inner child is connected to those paradigms, and that inner child in us that had to take over as the adult when we were young, try to make sense of everything and try to be the adult in the room and take care of us. That's when sometimes those inappropriate emotions will pop up, because that inner child is so used to taking over everything. And that's when we have to be aware and have those moments of clarity and go, oh, I see what's happening. It takes practice, and it takes practice, and it takes a shift in focus and feeling so that we can have those moments and go, oh, that little child just popped up thinking it can take over this situation, because it always had to. I have to have a talk with that child. And I think I shared with you on Friday how we do that, right? And it's envisioning yourself with yourself as a child, and understanding and having empathy for you as that child, saying, gosh, I had to, You had to take over so much. You had to try and figure out so much that wasn't your responsibility, but you had to take on the responsibility. And that was so smart of you and so brave of you and so wonderful. But guess what? You don't have to do that anymore. You get to go out and play now like you didn't get to before. I got this. I'm the adult in the room now. And thank you for those times when you took over. Really have empathy for that part of you and understand it's not to judge it at all, but just to understand that that's how it had to be for all of us in certain situations. And to be proud of that. But see, this is our life, our emotion, our spirit, our soul, our guides, whoever are helping us understand the story of our life and to become more able and mature to deal with those situations that used to feel out of place or odd or weird, or we want to go run and hide, or we'd want to shake our fist and yell at somebody. But it's those moments where we need to think twice, take a deep breath, try to catch it when you begin to feel it. Again, it's not always easy, and it may take a few times, but eventually we get there. Eventually we go, okay, I got this. Also connected with those emotions of, if I don't, if that inner child going, if I don't do something, the world's going to cave in, right? Because that's the feeling of the past. And the past isn't happening in the present moment. And that's something we need to cognitively think about. Like, even though, I feel it's hitting buttons from the past, but the past is not right now in this present moment. And that's what we need to remember. And again, it might take a few times to adjust to that, but don't judge it. Just look at it, observe it, and what is the story that this is telling you in this moment? Because I always believe that we are being guided, and yeah, we're being guided by our inner guidance system of how to be a better human being for ourselves in order to eliminate the negative parts of those old paradigms that we have about ourselves, about people, places, and things. And it also, when we are more mature, I can't wait till Friday, because I'm going to talk about social intelligence, and I have all kinds of examples of real life examples. And because our emotional understanding is very much connected to the social, right? Because we want to belong, we want to love, we want to be loved, we want to be connected. And it's important that we show up who we truly are. And even in those moments where we make mistakes, or moments where we're not doing it all correct, it's okay. We're all vulnerable in those moments. And when you're with somebody who understands that and loves you anyway and is mature about it, and it's all good, and there's no harm done, then we can move forward. We can go, we can kind of even laugh at it sometimes ourselves and go, okay, I remember now. I need to have more control about that over me. Like I said, I used to be so sensitive, and I used to perceive any slight or anybody saying something about someone else, and yet I'm thinking they're saying it's about someone else, but it's really about me, and I would want to run and hide and feel terrible. And that's how sensitive I was. And I'd even make up stories about why that was about me, and I want to go in and hide, and it would feed that paradigm in me of, I'm no good, I'm a loser, this is, I knew it, I shouldn't have come here, or whatever the situation was. And when we understand that that is just a tiny, teeny piece of who we are, and a tiny, teeny event that we just need to think differently about, it makes it that much easier to make those changes. Instead of me thinking and believing, I am the mistake, I am the big failure, like put a big X through me, that's not how that works. That's how we might feel, but that's not what the reality is. And so understanding that is half the battle. It's totally half the battle. Oh, I'm glad, Trace. You're so welcome. I had to understand that myself too about the past is not the present. It just hits some of those buttons that are still raw because we haven't tended to them. That's all. And when we realize it, it makes a big difference. So emotions come first, and then the feelings start flooding in. So we'll be triggered by, again, it could be anything. It could be something happy, sentimental, special, or it could be hurtful or painful, or putting we're putting a meaning to some event that again isn't the reality of the event. It's just how we're taking it. And then the feelings will flood in. And you know what I did? Let me bring this here. I remember I had this a long time ago. I wanted to pull this out about what can happen when emotions are triggered in us. Let's say suddenly we're feeling happy because we're seeing a happy scene. We're seeing family and friends for the first time in a long time. Whatever, this emotion comes up and erupts, and it can bring about so many different feelings that we have a hard time putting words to. We know we feel happy, but if we look under happiness, there's amused, animated, aroused, bold, calm, charmed, cheerful, confident, cool, delighted, ecstatic, elated, elevated. So these different words to the emotions that we feel. And sometimes we don't think of the words. And I believe that if we can even get more detail to the feeling, we connect even better. So sometimes I just feel so happy. And if I go deeper, it's like, I feel elated. Are you kidding me? I haven't seen you in so long. I'm so happy. I'm elated, just to go that much deeper in what the emotion has been created and what's the feeling behind it. And also anger. Anger is an emotion that is kind of secondary because behind that is fear, rejection, and pain. And probably a few others, but those are the main ones. So sometimes when we fear something, we fear someone's looking down on us because our ego is so bruised, we'll get angry. Or sometimes if we feel rejection, we feel rejected by somebody or a group of people, whatever, that brings about pain and hurt, but we don't know how to express it. We'll feel like, I think of the macho part, they're too macho to feel pain or rejected. So what do? They'll get angry. Yeah, who needs you anyway, and let's fight or whatever, whatever it might be. And some of the words can be bitter, dismayed, exacerbated, fuming, furious, grouchy, agitated. So those are some of the words behind anger. And we have caring or depression or fear. And so there's a lot of other words behind the main event, so to speak. I feel fearful. Why do I feel fearful? Because I feel anxious and uncertain. So I feel fear around that. If I feel uncertain, it can bring fear to me. If you don't know what's going to happen, you don't know what's going on, or things change abruptly and you don't have another way of doing anything, that can evoke fear. A sense of desperateness and fretfulness, being frightened, which is obviously because that's part of fear, or horrified, right? I'm horrified. You're watching a horror movie. Oh my gosh, I'm horrified. So I think it's kind of cool. And you can even Google, I think if you Google emotions and feelings, there'll be different people explaining, giving charts and whatnot of how to describe some of the emotions that are going on within you or within us at certain times. We can feel sad. Suddenly we can feel sad. We can empathize with somebody and feel sad, or depressed, desperate, heavy, crushed, disgusted, sorrowful, weepy. We can even feel confident. How many of us felt confident in life? Like, just, I've got this. This is cool. When we have those moments where we just know that we know we can do this. I've had a few of those. Not as many as I would like, but I've had a few. And you feel strong and brave and assured and prepared. You feel successful and encouraged, peaceful, secure, relaxed, and comforted. Now, with those sets of words alone, because I believe words not only have definition, but they have vibration and energy. If we concentrate on some of these more prominent positive words in our life, like saying, I am strong, I am brave, I am prepared, I am successful. If we can have moments like that of just meditation, even for a few minutes of just breathing and peaceful and saying, I am successful, I am strong, I am secure. Thank you that I am secure. I am grateful at this moment. I am comforted and relaxed, and I am secure. When we can do that, it's going to go right to the subconscious. And our subconscious is like a Google already. It's going to go, oh, they want to be that way. Okay, well, let's make that happen. And the more we can have those moments of feeling, not just saying it, but feeling these words of positivity and expression and how we would like to be, if we could feel them, that goes right to subconscious, right? Because emotions are stored in there, and that can help us as well. So anyway, there's lots more, but I'm not going to take time. But if we can figure out the emotion, what we're, and attach, what's the feeling that comes with that? And what is it trying to tell me? Why do I feel less than in this moment? Why do I feel like I want to shrink? What's the story behind that? And sometimes we can just say, I have this story going on in my head about being in this room full of people that I perceive and I know who are very, very accomplished. I don't feel good enough being here. Now, you don't have to say it out loud, but you can think it, and then you can go, wait a minute. I'm accomplished. I've done a lot of things. And you can tell yourself in the moment that I am no less and I am no better than anybody here, and everybody here is no less or better than. So we can understand we really are all on the same level of humanity. Yes, we have different gifts and talents, but if you know you've done your best to be the best, and you're still learning, we're all still learning on this planet, it can help keep peace within us. It can help guide us to being calm and also relax this part of the brain, because when we are hypersensitive and worried and focused on what do people think of me, and oh my gosh, I'm not good enough, or it just shuts this down and we can't think clearly. Just taking some deep breaths can really help calm our emotions. Like I said, feelings are sparked by emotions originating in the neocortical part of the brain. The feelings are shaped by personal experiences, beliefs, and memories and thoughts linked to that particular emotion. So again, it's just going back to how our perception of something happening and what our paradigm is. I don't know about you. I've been around people in situations where I remember a long time ago, there was someone I knew who talked incessantly. Have you been around people like that? Oh, thank you, Sherry. I'm glad. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. All I want to do is make sense and to help others, because I understand so clearly. I'm still working on myself. But have you been in a situation where or around somebody who just talks, 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 talks? They can't stop talking, right? I had a friend back in the day. I don't know. I think she was a friend, but it was kind of one-sided. She was so nice. She was a very lovely person and very nice and um, very dignified. And I really liked her. And she had nice taste. And we had a lot of things in common, but she could not stop talking. I mean, literally, I'd be going, yes, but I agree. It would just be rolled over, anything. And finally, if she had to take a breath, I'd jump in, right? I realized that for her, the only way she felt comfortable with people is if she could control the moment. I think, and I do believe she felt very insecure of herself, just being herself and listening and having to tap into her own listening skills or empathy for another person. It was very difficult for her. So her coping mechanism was to talk a mile a minute. And no, she wasn't on drugs. This is just who she was. And you wouldn't think it because she comes across as she's just very mild and mild mannered. And yet you get her in a conversation and oh man. And I felt bad for her because I think there's some people in her life that didn't understand and just ignored her and would walk away if they saw her coming because they knew that that was going to be an issue. Yeah, sometimes talking all the time. And I know I'm on here talking all the time. That's only because it's hard to get, when I'm in a group, which I love group setting. I love it. I love it. And have that interaction. But yeah, talking too much is an expression of insecurity and control. Because as long as you're controlling the topic or conversation, you don't have to hear what other people have to say. And that could be for any reason. Number one, because you don't know how to deal with other people. You don't know how to make them at ease, or that they might have something sad they want to share, but you don't want to go there with them. It could be anything. And then there are people, because I've done groups for years, they're all, I understand. It also, people who talk a lot in group settings, I've had to really have group courtesies where not pointing anybody out, but just saying, in this group, because our time is limited, just be aware if you have something to share, you have 2 minutes to do it. Because I know that one person will want to take 15 minutes, right? So it's just giving them a guidance. And then there are those who don't want to talk, who don't say anything. And their coping mechanism, not unlike mine used to be as a kid, like be quiet, observe, don't rock the boat. Nobody cares what you have to say. Your opinion doesn't matter, right? So for me, I did that. I would be petrified when I was a young adult, being in situations where I had to say anything. I was the wallflower. Now, back in the day, when I lived in LA and my ex-husband was so extremely successful in his work, and we'd go to these Hollywood parties and we would go to, it wasn't often, but we did attend some of these parties that were charitable events and silent auctions, and they were formal. And I would just, this is in the beginning of it all, I would be terrified because, oh my God, I'm in a room with these people who are, in the movies and TVs and directors and this and that, and they're famous. And I would just freak the heck out. I would just, but at the same time, I think it was around the time I was just starting in therapy and just would share this. And I would remember what some wise words my therapist would say, just to be calm and just to be myself. Just ask questions because people like nothing better than to talk about themselves, right? So they talk about themselves. So over time, it got easier and easier and easier and easier. And you know what? You realize these people are just people. The majority of them love their craft. They love what they do. They're writers or directors, producers or actors. It doesn't matter. They love what they do. Like you might have someone who's great at plumbing. They love their business. They love fixing things. They can do plumbing work really well. For them, it's just their job and they love it. And they go home to their families, right? And I learned that about them. I will say there's always the few who are narcissistic and all about them. And there are in any profession those people. So that's just a given. But that's why I say, if you feel less than, understand that everybody, we're all human. We're all on the same level. We just have different talents and abilities and different personalities. You know, the extrovert kind of gets out there and does things, takes more risks than someone who's an introvert. That doesn't mean they're better than, it just means they get things done in a different way. I know I kind of used to envy those people. I'm like, why can't I be more like that? You know, why can't I be more out there? You know, it's just not me. And I had to accept that and get to where I wanted to go in the way I do it best for me, not try to pretend to be somebody else. Been there, done that. How does that work? Doesn't really work out very well, does it? Not really. We have to, I think the basic part is to be emotionally connected with ourselves the best way we can. And I can't wait till Friday to give you some examples of social, because the social IQ and emotional IQ are very, very interconnected, right? Because just as I shared, like being in that social situation where I was terrified and thinking I was less than because, you know, I'm among all these people, famous people, and I'm just a mom and raising 4 kids and working part-time. And, you know, I wanted to make myself feel horrible. And here's something I want to say. I've said it before and you'll hear me say it again. Remember this. Don't ever, 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 whoever you are, wherever you live, whatever you do, never compare your worst with someone else's best. That's what we humans tend to do, right? We compare our worst with someone else's best. And I can guarantee you, the person that we're comparing ourselves with has done the same thing. Compared their worst with someone else's best. We can't do that. That's so unfair to ourselves. And it's unfair to the people we might be comparing ourselves with because they just happen to be doing something great and they're having a great day and they look good and they're positive and whatever meaning you want to put to that person in that event, just know they've had their bad days and will again. So we need to understand that that's so important. And sorry, I got sidetracked. There's something here. Being nervous. Yeah. Being nervous is a good one. You're right, Trace, because I just saw that. It kind of, I don't know why my thing isn't scrolling up, but being nervous, some people will talk a lot because they're nervous, and they're nervous because they don't have very good self-esteem, and they don't have very good self-esteem because they think if they can't control, someone's going to say something that they can't relate to, whatever. I mean, it could be many, many reasons people feel inadequate and insecure. When we love ourselves, here's the bottom line, and this is the whole umbrella of why I'm doing what I'm doing, that we can understand ourselves enough and very well to the best of our ability at any given moment, and it'll get better every day, that when we have self-love, it brings about self-confidence. And we can even be confident in moments of uncertainty. And that's what I've learned over the years. Because we're smart people, we're intelligent, And if we keep our intelligence up to date, so to speak, excuse me, and up to date emotionally, socially, what's happening in the world, what's happening within ourselves, within the community, with our family, and we learn to be good problem solvers. When we have that self-love in us, just like I said a minute ago, when you take moments of saying, I am so grateful that I am confident. I am so grateful and happy that even tomorrow, when I have to go to this event, I will be strong and brave and confident. I will be vulnerable if I need to be. I will be happy. When we can put words to the positive ways we want to be and feel them, try and feel what that would be like. Let's say you have something coming up and you're like nervous about it. And I will say this is a side note. I'm going to make a right turn here. I'll get back on the main road. Practicing mediumship even, I have my doubts and I worry and I'm like, oh no, is this going to be right? Because I'm all in my head. When I can understand it's not about me, it's about the pure connection of between the spirit world and myself. It's not about me. It's just the ability to use what I know. And then suddenly I can relax into it and it goes really well for me. And fortunately, I wish that happened more often than not, right? Because I get nervous and I get up in my head. The same thing for anything that we do, anything that we're a part of. It might be new. It might be a new situation. But don't put a negative meaning to something of a new situation or event that you're going to. Sit for a minute and say, I'm going to be so calm. I will be real. I will be myself. I'm brave. I can do this. And feel it within yourself. You'd be amazed how well that works. Because when that day arrives, that moment arrives, or even start your morning like that, today is going to be a really good day. It's going to be great. I know I have this list of things to do. I'm going to knock them off and it's going to go well. I'm going to have a good attitude. I will greet people with gratitude. I will be kind. I will be considerate. And when we bathe ourselves in these concepts and belief systems, it can help eradicate the negative ones in our paradigm. And also, when we're feeling good that way, maybe someone does make a rude comment or is mean or cuts us off in the road. It's almost as if we're not even aware of it. It's almost as if it's like, that's on you. That's not about me. I'm sorry. I hope you have a better day. Something like that. We don't have to take things so close to heart. Because there are mean people out there. There are people who are mentally ill. There are people who have no filter here, which is where our in the frontal cortex of the brain, the filter that controls our impulses. And some people lack that, and we've come across them in life. We share the world with people like that. And we can't allow one person who has a bad attitude or a disorder or a mental illness, which is hard enough on them, believe it or not, as nasty as they might be, they can't change or won't change or choose not to, whatever the case may be. We can't allow them to ruin our day because of their illness. And sometimes we take it to heart. We'll get into that later when we talk about relationships and when we talk about disordered people, borderline personality disorder, narcissism, histrionic, and talk about the levels of narcissism. When we have an understanding of all that, we can learn how to respond better to people like that in our lives. And some of us have people like that in our lives, in family situations, perhaps. And it's been heartbreaking. It's been disconcerting. It's been confusing. So I look forward to talking about those moments, because again, what we're learning today about emotional IQ and emotional stability and not allowing other people to upset us so much, and to love ourselves and build those healthy boundaries that we need, those situations in life are handled so much better. Doesn't mean they won't happen. It means we can handle them better in our life. And let's see. I've got my notes here. This, I think, is important. The way we perceive emotions, and I'm going to read this because these are some notes I have. The first step in understanding emotions is to perceive them accurately. That's what I was saying earlier, that it's telling us a story about something about ourselves. So if we can perceive them accurately. In many cases, this might involve understanding nonverbal signals such as body language and facial expressions. How many of us have been affected by even a person's body language, right? Because it's a subconscious reaction we have, because we'll see it. We might not recognize it so much, but we'll see it. You know, if they're like, just dropped my earbud. Like and the reason, by the way, I have these on is because of the microphone. I think it sounds better than my, if I'm not using it in my laptop microphone. So anyway, so if we are, see somebody and we're talking to them and they're like looking off, or they're folding arms and they look disinterested, immediately you're going to see that, go, oh, I must be boring. Oh my gosh, you know, this is not good, you know. And because we'll take it on like that, usually personally, instead of, you know, their social IQ is limited, because if they're not paying attention in a nice way, being polite at least, maybe they're not interested in what we're saying. But you don't just, act like they're a nobody, right? We don't do that socially. At least most of us don't, I should say. Some people might, but you can still be polite and say, oh, that's so interesting. Thank you. Wow, I didn't know that, whatever. And then move on. Or if what you're sharing is really personal and vulnerable, and they're acting that way, that's really telling about that person. You don't want them as a friend. You don't want them to be around you, right? Because they're so into their own head. You could tell that their emotional response could and should be like a little more empathetic, or a listening ear and paying attention. And if it's a consistent thing that they don't do that, that's not someone necessarily you want to be sharing your personal vulnerabilities with. You need somebody you can trust, who will listen and pay attention. So sometimes the body language of a person is very telling, and then it helps us realize about ourselves. Well, how am I standing? How am I presented with this person? Am I listening well? Am I paying attention? And being in the moment with that person, especially if they're being vulnerable. And that's the best that we can be, right? We've got to be that way. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, Sherry, it's important to understand perceiving emotions within ourselves and within other people, because empathy is a part of emotional maturity. So reasoning with emotions. The next step involves using emotions to promote thinking and cognitive activity. Emotions help prioritize what we pay attention and react to. We respond emotionally to things that garner our attention, right? There's that paradigm. If we're always like thinking I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, or all these negative things about ourselves or about other people, we will be attracted to that very mindset. It's like radar. That's what we don't want, right? I know the old phrase, and it sounds very overused, but the law of attraction. But it's true. What are we attracting ourselves to? If our mindset is always not in the right place, that's what will be brought to our lives, is more of that stuff. And that's what we don't want. And this is where I have said in my book, and I'll say it, I say pain is our teacher. When the emotional pain is so strong in us, it is overwhelming and hurts so much, we have to swim, right? We sink or we swim. And sometimes the pain, because again, we're being guided, we don't want to be there. I believe our spirit is saying, look, you're better than this. You don't have to be here. And I know this hurts, but maybe the hurt will cause you to do a 180 and turn around. And that's usually what happens in our lives. I know for me, there have been a few times in my life that was totally what happened. Being so emotionally broken, so confused, so sad, and so like lost and depressed, that when you hit bottom like that, you go, all you can do is look up, right? You go, okay, I get it now. And this is what I have to do. This is what I need to do. You know, even though people have shared things with you, or you've gotten advice, or you have books on it, sometimes that's what it takes. Almost like the addict having to hit bottom before they can go into rehab. It's the same with us emotionally. Because we are meant to be healthy. We have that perfect part of us already within us. It's already there. It's bright and beautiful and light and loving and non-judgmental, and it's wonderful. It's already within us. We have that spiritual DNA within us. But being human in the mind and our experiences and all the negativity and these paradigms that we've built up takes precedence, because we forget it's there, or maybe we've never been told it is there. But it's there. And sometimes we just need to sit and connect with that true part of who we are, even if it feels awkward and uncomfortable. Because it's there, and it's nothing but love and kindness. And it's showing us our true self of who we can be, uniquely who you are. You are unique. We're all unique in our own way. There's only one of you. Isn't that amazing? There's only one of you, which is why I say you're so amazing. And you're a miracle on this planet. And that you really, really matter, because there's only one of you. And what you have to offer other people, your family, your friends, your community, the world, whatever it might be, is uniquely yours. Even though other people are out there doing what you think you do, they're not doing it like you. They're not saying it like you. They're not presenting themselves the way you do, right? And there will be people who, on a very positive way, will be attracted to you in that way. That's the thing. That's what's beautiful about it. So don't ever give up on anything that you want to do. Don't give up on your daydream. I have a mug that says that. I love the mug. Don't give up on your dream, because it's there for a reason. It's purposeful. It's there for a reason. I just had to say that. Understanding emotions. We have to understand them, just as like what I was saying. If someone's expressing angry emotion, the observer must interpret the cause of the person's anger and what it could mean. So, for example, like people we might be around, let's do a scenario, a husband-wife scenario, okay, or a partner, whoever. They come home after a long day, they had a miserable day, they're tired, they're hungry, and they respond not so kindly, and they're kind of angry or whatever. Instead of taking it personally, we can step back and go, oh, something must have gone on in their day. They're not usually like this. And then it calms us down and helps us to calm them down. And then say, oh, well, what happened today, or what went on? Can I get you something to eat? It's not that you're responsible for how they feel. We're not responsible for anybody's mood or how they feel or how they react. But we're responsible for us and how we respond back in the best most possible way. Now, I'm not talking about abuse and your life is in danger and there's violence. I'm just talking about someone having a bad day and their attitude is off. We don't have to take that personally. If it continues and they become nasty, then graciously walk out the room. Let them deal with it. But usually with people we know and love, we can kind of diffuse a situation because our response is calm and caring, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. Because when we can understand another person's mood or reaction to something, again, we're not responsible for it. We can't change it for them. It's something they need to do. But it's how we want to respond to that. We want to get caught up in that drama. Is this something that's going to create a drama, right? No one likes that. No one wants that. So many families have dramas, just chaos and drama, and it's all because of emotional immaturity, misunderstanding of emotions, perceiving things in such a personal way. Some people being the bully, knowing that the sensitive person's going to react. It's all those dynamics. And the more we love ourselves and understand ourselves and what we're sensitive to and and how we can learn to respond and not react, then that's all the better for us, and hopefully can calm a situation if possible, if it can. So understanding emotions is important. Even also, you have someone in a family, maybe your child comes home and you see they're sad, they're slumped over, they feel depressed. You understand that emotion as, oh, I wonder what happened today. And you want to talk to your child, go, how's your day going? What happened? I see that you seem sad. Is there anything you want to talk about? And you can open that communication with a child and letting them know that they're okay and that they're in safe hands. They're in a safe space to be able to open up. We have to make safe space for people, right? We want that. The worst thing you can do is trust the wrong people. I've been there and done that in my life. Worst mistake, when you're trusting people who aren't trustworthy and you're vulnerable and you share with them, and it's like the worst thing you could do. We have to, and again, that's about emotional maturity as well. It's like learning how to trust people and understanding your healthy boundaries, that they're being respected by people. And that's how you can trust people. When they respect your boundaries, you respect their boundaries. Okay, I'm almost done. We're coming down to the wire. If you have any questions too, put it in there. Managing emotions. And this is like ding, 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 ding. I see how this is what really is the most important thing. And again, let me just say this. Sometimes we can't. Before I get into managing emotions, let me just say this. Sometimes the overwhelm of a certain situation is far beyond how we can manage it. Let me give you an example. When you're being told, like I remember my brother was murdered. This was many, many years ago. And like when you hear that, what are you going to do? You can't, it's like you are devastated and shocked and in grief. And I mean, everything is immediate. That's okay. That's appropriate, right? That's the time you're going to just fall apart. That's what happens. So sometimes emotions can't be managed, but it's at times where it makes so much sense that they can't be. So I'm not saying to continually always 100% be stoic. Sometimes we can't, right? And remind me to share with you about when my mother passed away, about this very situation, not managing emotions. It also involves the bully. So anyway, that's another story. But the ability to manage emotions effectively is a crucial part of emotional intelligence. Ding, 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 ding. That's the thing. And at the highest level. Regulating emotions and responding appropriately, as well as responding to the emotions of others, are all important aspects of emotional management. And this is what the priority is learning to manage our own emotions and not react as much as possible. Now, again, I'm not talking about your life is in danger, you have to flee, you have to run, you have to, those are more extreme scenarios. I'm just talking about everyday life, because our emotions can help tell a story about ourselves, help us realize, oh, I think I need to look at that. I think that inner child is trying to take over in her own little way or his own little way when they were 10 or 8 or 7, whatever. They don't have to do that anymore. I've got this. And that's what's so beautiful and important when it comes to our emotional intelligence in life. It's the more mature person. We want to be around people who can handle situations on a mature level, right? I want to be able to handle things on a mature level. Raising 4 kids, and sometimes they have these emergencies where you go into the hospital and need stitches because they fell and, hit the ground the wrong way, whatever it might be. There's no time to go, oh no, it's like, oh, okay. And you know what to do with first aid right away, how to clean the wound, how to keep it closed, get it to the hospital. I mean, there are situations where we just have to remain as calm as can be because we're the adult in the room. And it helps the other person as well to stay calm. Now, again, I want to say we aren't responsible for other people's moods or reactions, right? We can't be, because that's up to them, especially we're acting the best of our ability, maturely, we're kind, we're loving, we're not coming from a place of vengeance or weirdness or wanting to hurt somebody. That's different. But when you know yourself and you're coming with self-confidence and self-love and you're dealing with somebody and they're very insecure and they're hearing you and taking things way out of line, or they think you're mocking them, and that's nothing like that. All you can do is clean up your side of the street and go, no, that's not what I was saying. This is what I mean. Whatever the situation might be, right? You never know. There will always be people in our lives that are not well mentally and emotionally. And again, those hit under the categories of mental illness or being disordered. And the best we can do is just know who we are, clean up our side of the street, keep it calm, and let them be them, because we can't handle it, we can't control them. So I hope this has been good. I hope this has been helpful as far as emotional intelligence, because it is very important when we're out there in life and working situations or with family, or even creating a business and wanting to be relatable and kind and fun with people and understandable and being presentable and being approachable. All those things are about our emotional management, and also how we can respond appropriately to others in the best way possible. So, thanks, Sherry. I appreciate it. So I'm going to say goodbye. It's been about an hour. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. And please share with friends. Share the video if you want. If you know anybody can be informed by it or helped, I appreciate it. Blessings to you. Bye for now.